As the realm of splendor falls into chaos, a hero shall rise and speak aloft the three magic words.
Location, location, location!
Hi, and welcome back to another indie interview. I am Greyworks, your host as usual. I am the creator of Howling Hoods and Entangled the Rapunzel Eventual. And today I am joined by a very, very special guest. I am joined by Travis Fowler, the creator of Dungeon Flippers. Travis, how you doing?
Doing great, Mike.
It's getting warmer out here because we're approaching summertime. So we
Oh yeah, down here in Atlanta, we're already getting some early summer vibes in April.
That's good. That's good. I would like to ask our starter question. I ask everyone, Travis, what have you been watching media wise or consuming media wise? It could be a book, it could be a TV show, it could be a movie. What's just the latest thing that's like grabbed your attention?
Lately, I've been revisiting the manga of Ranma One Half. The anime reboot came out a while back, and while I enjoy the anime, the manga is what I read a lot during my teenage years. And there's something about the slapstick antics of that series that is just very delightful. On the page.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes of some of the older anime from the 90s. That's one of those shows of like, it's like cultural significance just through like references alone. And like,
Right. Yeah, totally.
yeah, and just like it being in pop culture. Yeah. So it's one of those things of like there's some like old school, like older school manga you've been meaning to get into. Just yeah, that's definitely up there. That's shonen, correct?
It's written. It's a shonen manga written by Rumiko Takahashi of Inuyasha fame.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of will they, won't they's, characters with reoccurring shticks, and lots of hilarious misunderstandings and confusion.
Totally. Yeah. When you say it was made by the same person who made Inuyasha, it's like that makes sense.
It's like, yeah, you can see it now. Yeah.
Totally. Even as someone who's like kind of bit of a I've only set my toe into that series a bit. It's just like when you said like Inuyasha, it's like, okay, yeah, I see it. Especially the art style, the eyes, and the main character relationships. Just
right. Yeah, I think she really is the mistress of will they, won't they. I think almost all of her like shows, Urusei Yatsura, Ranma One Half, and Inuyasha are always like, oh, well, Inuyasha and Kagome, but they like each other. They don't like each other.
Yeah, one of those classic kind of series. And today we are here to talk about a very, very special series, Dungeon Flippers, a series that not only like finished its Kickstarter, but it also premiered its pilot about a year ago. Is that correct?
Year and a half, going on 2 here in June.
And would you like to give kind of your elevator pitch of Dungeon Flippers?
Sure. So Dungeon Flippers is a fantasy real estate show. So if you imagine a real estate show, house hunting, renovator shows for houses like HGTV type shows, but taking place in a fantasy world full of castles and monsters. I like to say that it's HGTV meets D&D. And so we're following these monstrous real estate agents buying up, renovating, and flipping castles, dungeons, crypts, and etc.
Yeah. I love that. It's such a unique premise, especially for something indie animation wise. It's not something you see a ton anymore when it comes to animation. There's still like creative aspects, of course, but it's just like the more kind of like standard, like almost like workplace sitcom animation that you don't see a ton of.
Yeah, totally. It's fun because it can be the antics and the kind of day-to-day things have that workplace drama, but because it's in a fantasy world, the world can end up coming into or out of peril just as quickly as running out of coffee in the break room.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, speaking of work, I was very impressed when I saw just your kind of background history when it comes to animation. of like a lot of animated shows. And funny enough, when I saw some of the references that you worked on, it's like that makes a lot of sense. I can kind of see that art style in Dungeon Flippers. Can you talk a bit about your history with like animation as like both a writer but also an animator, and kind of your like transfer to indie animation?
Totally. So I got started in the Atlanta animation industry around 2014. I just got into art school. Atlanta was kind of popping off with some of its studios. And I spent a lot of years working at Bento Box Atlanta.
Mm.
And mostly because Atlanta was a little cheaper to live in than LA. So it was a little easier of a jump. And there I was working on shows. The first show I worked on was The Awesomes, a Seth Meyers superhero show that was on Hulu.
Yeah.
Wow. And in a lot of those, I guess Bento Box Atlanta, we use a lot of Harmony rigs, like rigged puppeted animation. So I kind of like learned very quickly on the job how to animate with rigs and kind of work in these, I think they call them prime time style cartoon shows.
Mm-hmm. The Bob's Burgers as
is Bento Box, yeah, is what they're most known for. But yeah, I worked on a lot of shows for them, of different degree, like some that only lasted a few seasons, some that only lasted for promo footage. But yeah, we worked on that one. We worked on several seasons of Paradise Police Department, one of the raunchiest shows I've seen.
I've seen some clips from that. It's not quite my cup of tea, but I do respect the creators' like work drive and just the amount of shows they've made. Like that's genuinely cool. But I'm still not going to watch a full episode of that show.
It's intense. I think some of that is kind of fuel for my own creativity in some ways, just because I've worked on a lot of very raunchy adult shows. Thus, in indie animation, I'm like, what if I made a show that was a little more? That wasn't just a bunch of sex and violence.
It's almost like the reverse of finding out Ralph Bakshi worked on like the '60s Spider-Man show.
It's just like, mine is the exact opposite. I've animated some of the nastiest stuff you've ever seen, and it's like, what if it was just a cute manticore and a dragon and they're doing kind of
that's things. It's an interesting divergence of that. Or like I remember what's her name? She wrote the Hunger Games. She apparently worked for Brother Bear, I believe.
Okay, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it's just it's that thing of just like the diverse talent an animator and an artist may have is so much more interesting than I think a lot of like viewers may think of. It's just like seeing just like where they start from and like how they kind of like grow from that, or just like go down a different path and just experiment. It's always so cool to me. Just
totally. Because thinking about it, my career is a lot of in the deep end of the production side of things. I think a lot of times when we're coming up with or starting animation or thinking of how animation to get started, we're usually in the script, storyboarding, designs, a lot of that stuff. Whereas I was kind of I was literally hired as an in-betweener for my first job with Bento, and so a lot of my tool sets were actually in like laying out scenes in Harmony, like working with rigs, building rigs, a lot of the nuts and bolts of actually making things, which I think much like building a pyramid, starting from the ground floor and working your way up, like it was easier for me to, I feel like, almost learn the pre-production stuff afterwards, knowing that I could accomplish animating a scene. It was kind of nice. So different tool sets than I think the more traditional route for careers.
Of all the animated projects you've worked on, was there ever one that like really developed and sharpened your skill sets as an animator and as a writer?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Let's see. Thinking back to some of the stuff I worked on. It's been a while. I forget what I've done. I know a show that I really enjoyed working on was during a brief stint in Canada, where I worked on season 2 of Dan Harmon's Harmon Quest show, which is basically animating them playing Pathfinder. and stuff. But that one, I think, that one required a little more of animating more realistic acting. They're very goofy characters and very like fantastic situations, but they were always talking very fast and very natural because they're playing tabletop role playing. So there's like I'm gonna go over here and like lift him up. Animating a character who is like saying that and kind of thinking through things while they're also acting. It kind of creates an interesting idea of animating more natural, like lifelike. Once again, there was animating dragons doing that.
Relatable like situations.
Yeah, relatable, natural type of things, and the juxtaposition of that with the fantasy, like it definitely like clicked a few gears in my head for sure.
Yeah, that must have been also super interesting because that would have been like 2014, something around that time.
I think that one was in 2017. Yeah,
2017, but still like I am a novice when it comes to D&D. I will just put that up in front, D&D version. But now it's just like D&D is like all.
It's very mainstream,
which is very cool.
It was. I think Common Quest was kind of like right when the curve was happening. It was really kind of catching on with like Critical Role, Adventure Zone.
Of course, because those are the more actiony aspects of D&D presented. And I have some friends who listen to both the podcast and seen the show. And I've seen the shows. I've seen Critical Role and Mighty Nine. And something that's kind of an interesting, not even a complaint, just an interesting observation some of my friends have had of like stuff they've missed. It's like they understand why it's cut, but it's kind of like when you adapt a book to a TV show or a movie of like some of the mundane, like everyday aspects kind of get cut away, and they kind of miss those aspects because it kind of like it's like, oh, you have to cook a meal or you have to go to a bar.
And interesting you mentioning that. I feel like that was some of the inspiration with Dungeon Flippers. Is because around that time I was also playing a lot of D&D, and I felt like that was kind of one of the more magical parts of it is the mundane aspects of it. Because I played Zelda, Final Fantasy, and stuff. Like you're always moving around dungeons and you're doing adventuring things. But when you're playing D&D, it's like, well, we're all exhausted. We're gonna like set up camp. Like, what's everyone doing? Like, we're in this place. Like, you're actually like living in the dungeon, living in the space of the fantasy realm. And when you use a lot of imagination, like there's something neat about camping out in dungeons or like doing these mundane, like the bar stuff and kind of fumbling about, that occupying that kind of space and mind space, like headspace. Like, I don't know. It's really extra immersive and you don't see that in Lord of the Rings as much. A little bit.
Well, you get like a 3-page segment of like what the wood of the bar is made of.
That's true. That's a good point.
But it's just the other aspects. And like I also have a lot of friends who work in storyboarding and with MX. And something I've noticed is that a lot of like their storyboarding stuff and their MX, when they do like use a team, like something from D&D, like your Critical Roles, it tends to be the scenes where characters are just kind of like a lot more casual, a lot more chilling around. Like I remember one of my friends did a scene from Critical Role where it's just the character of it was Mighty Nine. It was one of the characters basically just asking for a book back after they read it. It's like, but there's so much. There's a lot of charm and character with that. It feels like you're in the party to a degree.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Was D&D a big part of you growing up? Because I can see that influence just all over Dungeon Flippers, even as someone who is like more like as I previously mentioned, a novice when it comes to D&D in general. But it's like from the designs, from the characters, from the creatures you use, which I love, by the way.
Thank you. I didn't actually start playing D&D until around like 2014 or so, around that time when it was becoming kind of zeitgeisted. But I've always really loved fantasy. Like I still am a huge Zelda nerd, but like I think like I think from like ages like 11 or 12, I started playing Ocarina of Time, and then worked my way through all the Zelda games and some of the old Final Fantasy games. And then I've also just always been like I was the mythology nerd as a kid, so I like Greek mythology, which you're a big mythology person.
Yeah, yeah, you can see.
So but no, So I was always big on monsters, myths, like epic legends, and all that. So it's all just a big culmination of a life's worth of obsessions for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, we've mentioned fantasy several times, and
Yeah.
your series tackles one of my favorite aspects of like a subgenre of fantasy, which I call the bureaucracy of fantasy. Of just, I love seeing just like the in-universe world building of fantasy. I think two very like popular examples, even though they're kind of like loose fantasy, is like Venture Bros and Monsters Inc. Because I just love seeing that. I love seeing of just like the workplace slaying and the aspects of just like you have a job of like how to like I like seeing the cool battles, all this stuff, but it's just like how's this elf make this hut?
Precisely, yeah. I think I've told the story on a few different interviews, but that another like bit of spark for Dungeon Flippers was we were playing D&D, me and some friends of mine. And like, we're in, I think it was the Mines of Fandelver, the like starter pack for 5th edition. And there's a part where like you open a door and there were these orcs, but they were like sleeping. And we're like, oh yeah, they're living here. This is their house. This is where they live. Like all the monsters, like unless it's like super video game-y, like reasonably, all these goblins, orcs, creatures, they have to eat, they have to like live somewhere. Like, and I find like, that idea of following, where's this goblin go when he's not trying to attack me? Like, they're all alive and they're all existing in a kind of ecosystem.
Yeah.
In this case, just kind of taking that into a more like workplace type mindset of like, the workplace structure of a dungeon and how that works out.
One of my favorite, it's such a dumb joke, but it's like, I remember I saw like a post from like Tumblr or something that's kind of famous now. I was just like, my favorite Lord of the Rings character is just the numbers cruncher orc that tells Saruman, like, I can't manage 1 million orcs. There is no such army. Like, I love that. Right. It's just like, this guy just like runs paperwork. He's just like, please, we don't have the budget for that right now. It's like, we're talking weapons, we're talking steel, we're talking food.
Yeah, like, the whole scene of Saruman, like, in some ways, that's the original Dungeon Flippers, is Saruman turning his tower into a big orc forgery. But like, theoretically they're all eating something, they're all sleeping somewhere, and they're having to forge steel. Where are they getting the steel from? Like, not everything has to have a reason, but like, it is fun when you're like, oh wait, this is how they're doing. Look at them.
Yeah, totally.
And at that point, it becomes almost relatable. We're like, I am like this orc. I also clock in 9 to 5. and then chill out like in my cave later. Like,
I think that your characters in Dungeon Flippers being monsters kind of gives it an extra level of charm than if they were just like have standard adventurers. I am curious, were they always because I love the designs of characters like Molly and Cleveland in this. Were they always planned to be monsters, or did you plan them being like wizards or just like general humans or elves or something in this?
I'd always planned for them to be monsters. I do find just like that's always the thing with. Obviously, I love fantasy as a genre, but I always get a little bit bored when it's like, yes, me, the pasty farmer boy who gets sent on an adventure. I'm like, I think these guys are boring. I like the monsters are the interesting part for me, and the creatures I always find are the real the real stars of the show a lot of times. And then having them exist in dungeons and renovating dungeons in that kind of Addams Family style of like, the gruesome is, they like the gruesome stuff. They like it being a bit macabre, like, or like some of this stuff that you would see in a fantasy dungeon. Like they chose that chandelier for a reason. They like it. And I kind of leaning into that idea.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Everything about just the intro for like Dungeon Flippers was so charming and so fun. I love just the puns. I think my favorite segment of it was actually like in the first like 3 minutes of just like when Molly was just talking about like the walls of these walls scream, they
Yeah.
scream, they just scream.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, like was this just something that like you've been making for a long time, or was it something that's just like you always had in like like you just got spark inspiration, you just kind of ran with it?
It did. A lot of it hit me like in one moment. I can often trace it back to, I think I was running on a treadmill watching Love It or List It on
Mm.
HGTV. And that was around the time I was playing a lot of D&D at the same time. And I think it like almost all at once, I was like, ah, yes, I see it all now.
Mhm.
But a lot of the humor, the puns, the tone, everything, a lot of that's just the way I am naturally. My sense of reactionary humor often just uh, uh, steers towards corny humor,
Yeah.
which yeah, I'm leading into.
Yeah, yeah. I love the development of these characters, especially their designs, and especially like Molly's design, especially the fact that she goes on all fours at one point.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah. The fun, yeah, interplay of like her being, a businesswoman, like all dressed in her blazer and her fancy suit. But then, yeah, and then having those moments where she could be a monster. She can scuttle around. She could, I don't know, show off her fangs or like do monstrous things. Like the
Mhm.
interplay of those is so fun.
Totally.
Or
Oh,
Cleveland breathing fire when he gets angry and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I also love like kind of like the slang that they have themselves of just like it's somewhat relatable because we understand the emotions they're conveyed, but like
Hmm.
we don't have the exact connotation of that when Cleveland says dragon's breath. Just
Right? Yeah, yeah. It's fun coming up with in universe expletives and stuff. Those definitely could be a few more of those in episode two.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. And in the first episode, we see the wizard, who's such a fun, interesting character.
Yeah,
What was your because I know he has kind of a shockingly just like a lot of power, but like also kind of just like he's kind of in a like interesting, like almost artistic slump to a degree. What was your
right.
inspiration behind the pilot itself?
Ooh, let's see. I guess some of it. I won't name names, but a little bit of the I guess resentment working sometimes in the industry
Mm,
where you have a creative vision or a want to make something that's interesting, and sometimes the people above you that you're working for either don't care too much about what they're doing or don't really know exactly what they're doing. I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to just working for anybody.
what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes your boss or your client uh, doesn't quite have the vision that you do, and so then I think I got a few comments in the pilot from real estate agents who are like, "This is exactly what it's like being a real estate agent. They don't know what they want." Uh, and so a lot of that, yeah, just coming from I think just what it's like to be an employee working almost any job, and other the the person you're working with just doesn't know what they want. That can be frustrating. But at the same time, though, there are also moments in the pilot where you feel for the Ace of Wands a little bit when you do want to do
Oh,
something and
yeah.
you can't think of anything. So,
Mhm. Yeah, I love his also design as well, just like kind of wizardy, but also like kind of like squid-like to a degree. Just
yeah, like his face and his beard just run together. Uh, he's just kind of very big goblet energy almost, and or I've heard sometimes he's almost cat-like. Definitely channeling a lot of the kind of uh, pathetic wizard archetype of like Gargamel, Ice King.
yeah, Ice King especially kind of reminded me. It's like I could totally see Tom Kenny voicing this kind of character. Just
Yeah, he'd be great.
yeah. Though speaking of the voice cast,
Hmm.
I really love the voices you got for this show, and if I'm correct, isn't this like Molly's voice actress's like first time to a degree?
Yeah, she's voiced by Sarah Champion. She's a friend and coworker of mine.
Mhm.
So yeah, she's never done any voice work before. Cleveland's voice actor has done like some video game streams, but nothing professional. The Ace of Wands has done a fair bit of voice acting, but nothing like too well known. But no, yeah, Molly particularly was just a friend of mine who I was like, oh yeah, you sound like you could like you got the voice, like you sound good. Like I wasn't really shooting for like S tier like big names. I was kind of just going with friends who I thought sounded like they fit the part.
Yeah, I feel like that also gives it more. It helps the more naturalistic, like everyday aspect of that show.
Yeah, oh, totally. Because, well, definitely they each, like all three of them have very distinct character voices. I wasn't pushing for too hard of like, of a type of like zany voice.
Of course.
Yeah. So keeping it a fair bit, in the middle there.
Yeah. So you didn't do like an audition, so to speak. You just like contacted some personal people.
Right. Yeah.
That's very cool. I always love it when like that happens with a show where it's just like kind of like hiring from in-house, so to speak, and in this manner where it's just like, why don't you try about this? And it's just like I think it gives like an interesting like kind of level of unexpected quality you wouldn't expect or you wouldn't really be looking for if you were doing an audition. I remember this was a thing with like shows like the UK Office and like Barry, where like the creators of that were like, I'm not a performer. I'm not really sure if this is going to be something I'm going to be good at. And it's just they put it in there. It's just like, oh yeah, this was great. Just like,
yeah, totally.
But yeah, though also it's very important to note that like it's not just like the voice cast that's really like excelled this, but it's like the music in this was incredible, and I really like just like both the soundtrack and like the small minor musical numbers we had. This just
one of those things. When I first started developing Ninja Flippers, I really just wanted to, there were a lot of times where I'm just like, I started writing songs like kind of show tune type musical numbers, and then got to use a little bit of that with the Ace of Wands song in the episode, as well as like kind of retooling some classical music for the score. And our musician Jake did a really great job of like kind of taking my garage band files and then making them sound good. I really appreciate his work.
Are you a big musical guy?
I feel like I am. I think more in listening. I haven't seen too many actual like Broadway shows or anything, but I do really like a good. I like musicals.
Yeah, I've seen my handful of like also off-brand kind of musicals you get by Jeff. They can get kind of expensive, kind of costly. Just
totally. No, yeah. And then I mean, like a '90s kid, so I grew up in all the '90s Disney movies, which all had musical numbers.
Was there a specific kind of like musical reference you want to really emanates? Like, was there a show that really inspired you? Like, this is why I want to put this in here, or
it's interesting. I know when I was giving notes to Jake on how I wanted the first version of the Ace of Wands theme when he's entering and riding on a cloud, the song for that one, the instrumentation, I was actually referencing. It's I guess they use it for the end credits of Legend, with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry.
Oh,
yeah. There's a song, "Loved by the Sun," in that, which is I think like Tangerine Dream and some of the musicians from Yes, I think. But like it has this synthy, but like a little bit of like light guitar riff in it. But I was like, I kind of want the vibes of this song from Legend when he's entering. And then a lot of the other bits, classical music, kind of going for. Partially because it's a little bit easier to produce, just being like, that already exists. Just need to put our own spin on it. Definitely like, Holst's Planet Suite. I use a few different tracks from that and the pilot. But yeah, so things like that. I love me some good old fashioned classical scores. And then, stuff like that.
All right. Yeah, it's great because like, I don't know if it's just like the wizard part of it that reminds me of it, but for some reason, like when the Ace of Wands introduced himself to Molly in Cleveland, it reminded me so much of the 2012 Looney Tunes show with Daffy Duck as like the wizard, just like because they had like the merry melodies throughout that as well. Like in the middle, they would have a music number. Sometimes I would just skip that. Sometimes they were really funny. Just
totally. I still remember the grilled cheese Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, I think that was the first episode.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's on Tubi, which is free for anyone watching. So
I had to revisit that one. Yeah.
yeah, it's been a while since I watched that, but it's just like that. That's also another show that kind of gives me this vibe of just like, here's some iconic, like interesting fantasy characters, and then we're putting them in a setting that makes it a bit more relatable to you. With Looney Tunes shows, like we're taking the iconic American Looney Tunes character, and they're in suburbia now, and the plots are a bit more sitcom-y, and this is like we have Cleveland, we have who's like a dragon, and there's like Molly a manicore, and they have stuff that's clearly going on in the background that we're now like but like here's their job, here's their everyday like just retail just
Right. Yeah. And I guess much like I was saying earlier with the interplay of Molly being like a professional but also a monster, that's also a thing I really enjoy exploring with Dungeon Flippers. Is this kind of complex code switching of like there because both for them and the Ace of Wands, like Molly and Cleveland are like they are going through stuff in the background and they are monsters, but then when they have to be real estate agents, they're like, "Hey, look at this, blah blah blah," and then they're like, "What the heck's with this guy?" And same with the Ace of Wands, where he's like, "I am an all-powerful wizard," and then it's like, yeah, yeah, well, those that's fine, I guess. I don't really like the this the flip-flopping of those different dynamic and natural kind of characterizations.
Yeah, I do imagine that is something a lot of military agents do have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Of just like you got to put on like your smiley, happy face, but like don't make it too unnatural, or else they'll know. Don't be too happy. Just
that's right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, this is a kind of a odd one, but it's like, were there any like fictional retail agents you took inspiration from, or were they all like kind of more standard people you would see on like a reality TV show?
Ooh, let's see. I know for Molly, I don't specifically think so, but for Cleveland, I actually did get some inspiration from the his name is David, but the guy from Love It or List It, the listed guy in Love It or List It. Some of like his kind of look and vibe, I channeled into Cleveland as a character, as being this kind of like smooth, but also kind of atypical real estate agent type of thing.
Nice.
So there's definitely a little bit of that kind of HGTV type persona that I'm kind of funneling into their real estate energies.
Yeah. Was this always meant to kind of just be like animation, or did you ever have any thoughts of making this like a mockumentary style kind of show to a degree?
I think like at the very when I was on that treadmill and they all came to me at once, I think the percentage of mockumentary to story, there was a lot more like it's mostly real estate jokes, and you might get a little bit of character in there. But I think over the days of like developing it and everything, like it's become kind of 50-50 to there's a lot more lore, a lot more character and story involved. I think it would be fun to do a straight-laced HGTV purely like mockumentary style episode or something like that.
Yeah.
But also I'm too in love with the characters and the story to shut up too much of it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's not a ton of animated mockumentaries out there when you compare it to like, I think it's a harder thing to replicate in animation because, standard mockumentaries, you can do so much like improv and stuff like that.
Right.
A lot of shows animated shows have done like kind of like their mockumentary episode. So
yeah.
I remember Archer did that with they had a Hell's Kitchen kind of episode with Anthony Bourdain. Just
yeah. Totally. And one of my favorite SpongeBob episodes is the training video episode.
Yeah, that reminds me so much of this. And there's an animation of Molly of like what makes a good dungeon flipper.
Yeah, yeah. That was a fun little thing to put together.
Yeah. Is it safe to say like earlier 2000s cartoons are not the main inspiration, but like more of an influence in your sense of humor to a degree when it comes to like approaching aspects of the dungeon flippers?
That's an interesting question. I think probably definitely. Like I feel like there's a little bit of everything sprinkled in that I've grown up watching from like 90s stuff, 2000 stuff. I think definitely like Adventure Time,
Mm,
for sure. Yeah, I think there's definitely a handful of sprinkling of that in there for sure.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great. Uh, yeah, were Molly and Cleveland always designed to be a duo together, or was one character perceived like conceived before the other one?
Yeah, Molly was definitely the first character I came
Okay.
up with, where I was just like, this, she's great. She's gonna be our little hero. Like this is
Mhm.
gonna be fantastic. It actually took me a little while to figure out Cleveland, despite saying that he was based off of of a, of a TV personality. It took me a while to figure him out. So yeah, Molly came first for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so cool seeing that character developed in terms of design. How much have you said like her personality has changed that much, or her lore around her?
Ooh, I know. Like when I was first kind of developing her, I had the idea that because, as you know, in the pilot, Molly is spending a lot of her personal income to rebuild her family's dungeon, and so there's this idea of her like slowly working on rebuilding this house, and she kind of just lives in ruins. Uh, where in earlier drafts, there was more of the idea of her not having a house, like her
Mm,
having like basically she sells her family's plot like in the first episode, and then she's kind of just always couch surfing, like or like living around with it. Like in every episode, she'd be living in a different place and like kind of having trouble staying in one place, and then
mhm.
that weird juxtaposition of like she sells houses for a living, but she can't really maintain a dungeon of her own. Um, but having her a goal to shoot for in rebuilding her dungeon, I think
Mhm.
felt a lot better.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And Cleveland also has a interesting kind of lore in the background. So it's a bit more, I would say darker, but a bit more like grounded to a degree, a bit like less, as optimistic as Molly.
Yeah,
Was that like something to balance it out, or was that something that's just like this is a different aspect you want to explore?
a little bit of both because yeah, with Cleveland, it's his family business basically. Like his mom started the business, and he's kind of been having to take charge of it and stuff. And he's been doing this for so long, he doesn't really have a life of his own.
Mhm.
And combining that with like kind of the teetering towards midlife crisis kind of situation, a lot of his is more of the his troubles are more on the existential side.
Yeah, he does kind of have a midlife body to a degree. I
Yeah,
love
this is
that.
true. Yeah. So him struggling to like wanting to keep the business going and do what's best for the job, but also needing to like figure out what his deal is,
Mhm,
um, is a lot of his arcs for sure.
mhm. Love that. Was there a specific reason why you chose a Manicore specifically for Molly, for her design and her character?
It was very that one was very intuitive. I think I was kind of drawing and just feeling her out as I was like designing what it was, because she doesn't look like a typical Manticore.
Mm,
But eventually, I was like, as I was drawing her, I was like, oh wait, this kind of looks like a mane, and this. If I had a tail, admittedly, very intuitive, very kind of feeling it out as I go for her
yeah.
design.
I love how you incorporate aspects of the monster designs into like kind of modern fashion, especially
Mm.
with like Molly's hooves of like they
Yes,
almost look like kitten heels to the degree. Just
right. Yeah, that's true. I know I've done like some art here and there, where like trying to figure out like how she would do shoes, like if she had boots that almost look kind of like tubes for her feet, or like wedges that would kind of go into
Mhm.
the cloven parts. Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Just uh and when it comes to the Manticore like lore, I know there's like aspects. Well, yes, it is popular D&D. It is also like a
Yeah,
mythical creature. Right? Was
yeah.
mythical creatures also something you want to like explore a lot with this series, or is it just more of a fun background thing?
A little, a little of both. I'd say exploring for sure. Because I think one of the reasons why I kind of, despite her not looking much like a Manticore, lean into it a little bit, partially because there's not a whole lot of lore with Manticores. They're kind of just like they're a thing. People
Yeah.
saw them, they say. Um, And if you juxtapose that to a character like Cleveland, like he's a dragon. There's like a lot of expectations, and
So much
he has
more.
and he as a character also has a lot of like expectations as like holding a family business. There's a lot more like prophecy and stuff that's going on with Cleveland. Whereas Molly, by juxtaposition, is very open. She is like, I'm just a wild animal. She doesn't have any like dark secrets or like or baggage, so to say, as a manticore. And I think that the interplay between that and Cleveland, who has too much baggage, is a good setup, a good dynamic.
Yeah. It's the animal aspect as well is like it's such a interesting level with the design, especially with some of the close-ups in Molly's eyes specifically.
She's got the goat eyes.
Yeah, that's a fun way to kind of go about it. It's just like I think sometimes this has been talked about online a bit, but it's like sometimes when like some people want to talk about like designing female monsters, they kind of make them a bit too humanoid to a degree. While the male monsters can be a bit more cartoonish. Was there like ever like a thought like why you wanted to make Molly a bit more like funny looking or like more animal looking, or was it just like something that's just like it was just easier to design?
I feel like there's this thing about Molly's design that I think, especially as a female character, that I think is kind of neat because I do feel like it's always kind of telling when the female characters look just like a human with a cat nose or what have you. Or I'm like, there's a whole lot of thought put into this. I am guilty though of a lot of my female characters having eyelashes. It's like that's how you know. But
now you make them pink.
I know, right? Yeah, it's like, but with the female characters, because we have 2 more being introduced in episode 2, Cleveland's mom Karen and their contract worker Emma. And I do feel a bit proud to say that they aren't. They're kind of unusual shapes. They aren't they aren't our perfect hourglass, slender female characters. Like I enjoy kind of mixing it up a little bit.
Yeah. Was there ever an aspect of something you wanted to bring over from like the standard D&D and fantasy setting that was a bit too complicated for the pilot at the moment?
Ooh, I think probably with the pilot, I was really trying. I really had to like strip away and be as like kind of focused as possible. As far as specifics, I'm not. Let's see. Let me think. Like I know, I always wonder like if I could have put more world building and like more of the big grand, like this is the whole thing, like the war between good and evil and all the different parties involved. But once again, it would have muddled things up a little bit, and I had to keep it as streamlined as possible. Where it's like, no, there's a wizard and he's looking for a house.
Yeah.
And we will get a little more of that in a little more world building in episode 2, but getting a little more of that like the fantasy experience.
Like a fun tip into like just a neat fantasy story or a neat fantasy world that makes you want to come back to it.
Right.
That was actually how I approached the show Harmon Quest, because the episode I watched was the first one was Patton Oswalt was the guest star.
Oh, yeah.
I know he's like a huge nerd figure. And it was like the 7th episode or something like that. And it's just like, well, this is so fun to watch with all this improv and all the fantasy aspects. I want to watch more of this. And like, I found that also something that kind of attracted me to D&D as a concept with a lot of shows have like their D&D episodes, like South Park. Well, South Park had the Warhammer. No,
World of Warcraft episode.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's just saying these names just make me realize how much time has gone by. Just
oh no, you're good.
Yeah, that was what? Oh my, 2009 ish.
Oh yeah. Oh dang. Yeah, different world when that one came out. But no, yeah. Like at most shows, it seems like these days have a D&D themed episode for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there a specific show that does do a D&D or even like a MMO game like League of Legends or World of Warcraft? It's like I love that episode. That special episode holds a deep place in my heart.
Ooh, I don't think there's one that like super holds a deep place in my heart, but weird deep cut. I think there was an episode of Kim Possible where Ron gets really into like an online RPG, and I wasn't really aware of them that much back then. But it seemed so cool to be like, oh, we have to like there's this fantasy world where there's puzzles and treasures and like things. For some reason, that one way back in, I don't know, it must have been like 2003 or something like that. I was just like, wow, this is cool stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I have a super soft spot for those kinds of episodes. But I totally forgot Kim Possible had that episode. I remember Danny Phantom had an episode like that for going to the digital world where all have avatars and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though, as a like longer show, is there a D&D show specifically that you really like right now that you'd like to give a shout out to? Because there's like a few airing.
I know, like I'm still following along with the Adventure Zone and enjoying it a lot. Like their newest season is like a big tournament with all wizards. That's been a lot of fun. So it's just like all weird spells and eccentric wizard characters. That's been fun. But I haven't followed too many others lately.
Yeah, it's a bit more focused on like your own stuff, so to speak.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, also something that's interesting that also made me want to interview you is that you've been interviewed by a handful of other indie animation people. You've also been in the indie scene, participating in a lot of events from like Indie Animation Day, and you've been interviewed by the Sunflower Club. You've been interviewed by Postmart Podcast. How's your experience with the indie scene been as someone who did work so much in like industry animation, and now you're stepping your toe in this?
Yeah, I mean, I've really been enjoying it. The people I've met so far in the indie community have been really nice. I feel like working in the industry, a lot of my experience in the industry has been a lot of, I guess, it's a job. You know, you punch in, you punch out. Usually, people are more interested in playing video games sometimes than animation. But the people here in indie have been, they're very passionate about making things, and I really enjoy that a lot. And I have people who are passionate about telling news stories and making stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah. Also, your avatar, funny enough, that I've seen in a lot of different like thumbnails, especially the Sunflower Club. I think that was something that's just like, what is going on? It's a little purple fella.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll keep him or not. We'll see. I was trying to get into like VTubing a little bit or like streaming. I was like, oh, this might be a fun like type of character. I think I was thinking of like an astral like satyr type thing, and they're not video game streams, they're dreams, and you're following along on his dreams through the astral realms.
Yeah,
this time it's Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that like kind of newer era of animation stuff we've had as of late, like the Netflix animation originals, like two very specific ones of it was by the creator of Adventure Time. It was a podcast show.
Yeah, Midnight Gospel.
That one.
Yeah,
but it also reminded me a lot about Centaur World. That's what it was called.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed both of those shows a lot. Actually, definitely big influences.
Was there an aspect of those shows that, like, in terms of animation, that really was it like the more like out there storytelling, or was it just like the more interesting designs?
I think little bit of both. I know for Midnight Gospel, like the out there storytelling juxtaposed with the improv interview aspects was a really good synergy. Just having those, it's like you're listening to a podcast and playing a video game, because they don't always match up, but sometimes they do. I honestly, I want to know how they made that show, because the blending is interesting. And then Centaur World has a similar, like, inspiring to have like kind of cute characters who sometimes get into dark or deeper themes and scenarios. And music.
Oh yeah, the music of that's really catchy. Funny that I had a friend who I originally met on Discord, and then their avatar profile pic was one of like the characters from Centaur World, the weird like draft thing. No, antelope or something like that, because she was like super skinny. I was just like, what the hell is that? Just
she's a fun one.
Yeah, and those were aspects that like really kind of like drew me forward to that kind of like type of like weirder animation that's a bit more popular now, of like kind of the more somewhat inspired by like Cal Arts, but like you've seen it with like kind of the early seasons of like Steven Universe and like the more abstract fantasy world telling.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Mhm, mhm. Was that were there any like, because so much you've talked so much about like more 2000s and like kind of more older media, even like 90s stuff. Was there any like recent media that's just like I love that, like, and that's kind of like was like a lesser influence to Dungeon Flippers?
Let's see. Ooh, Dungeon Meshi for sure. Delicious in Dungeon. Yeah, I think I was reading that when they were coming out. Like I'd read the scans of it or whatever. And yeah, very instantly, for obvious reasons, very inspiring for me. Because whereas Dungeon Flippers is kind of like seeing dungeons and monsters in a kind of almost humanistic workplace environment situation, Dungeon Meshi is about taking dungeons and monsters into a environmental perspective of how monsters are a part of the environment and how they play a delicate balance in the ecosystem
and food.
Just food, yeah, and you get to cook them afterwards. It's tasty.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about that show. It was also reminded me a bit of an aspect of One Piece I really liked. Is just the cooking aspect of that. And it's just like I love that. I want to see more of that. I want to see how you cook in this fantasy world. And just like
oh yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, excellent. But as we kind of previously mentioned a bit earlier, that I kind of want to talk a bit more about, you had a Kickstarter for the pilots, which was very successful, as well as merch around it.
Right.
Can you go back? Can you tell us a bit about like your process of making the Kickstarter and the merch and how you went about that, and like kind of your relationship with like how it succeeded?
Yeah, I guess I've done a few different Kickstarters in the past. I think even one for like the pilot originally on Indiegogo, which didn't do as well. It kind of flopped for the most part. I think there's no better teacher than failure. And a lot of that, it's trying to find a good balance of like things you can give to people for supporting, but also not going in debt doing so. That's always the tricky part of like, should we make shirts? How much does it cost to make a shirt? Oh no, like, the shipping. So finding things that you can engage with, that people can want, needs versus supplies versus demands, trying to keep things where there's a certain degree of profitability for the Kickstarter anyways. And beyond that, just like during running the campaign, being relentless about posting and sharing, and in some way, I would say it's like you have to create a narrative, but in some ways the narrative is just your life that you're living, being like, please support this. Look at this pretty drawing. And also having fun with it. I know like near the end of the campaign, I was doing a what's her name? Sarah McLachlan, The Arms of an Angel, like sad pet things where I was just like, if you don't spend this money, like Molly will never get to rebuild her own dungeon. Like, support the Kickstarter today. And like, you have to get creative because I think it's easy to slap just a point at a poster, be like, support. It's day 3, support. But like, you have to get inventive and have fun with it, engage with people.
Yeah, I
think helps a lot. And as for merch goes, a lot of it is just like making things that you would want for yourself. Like there's definitely a lot of like wish list things that I would love to make merch wise. Most notably, a Dungeon Flippers play set with like a He-Man Castle Grayskull meets Barbie Dream House.
I love that.
Of like renovate the dungeon. Oh boy, here's
you have the power.
Yeah, like. That would be a lot of fun. Having fun with things, like finding things that would be fun to make as merch, or like a silly shirt. Like obviously you need to sell the like. Oh, actually, I'm wearing a shirt right now.
Nice.
the quest to impress. But I also sell ones that are just the logo or the simple stuff you'd see at JCPenney's. But it's fun to make one that's a little more silly and a little more out there.
Yeah, I love also that Molly plushie design you got. Just
oh yeah, I got right here. Thank you.
Yeah,
one of these days we'll make some more of them.
How did you go about making that? Was there like a studio you went for, or was there a like a website?
Right. A lot of my merch is done through Fourth Wall, just because it's really easy to set up. It's very much just like, you want a shirt, put the design on it. All right, now it's on the market. You get $5 for every shirt. I'm like, cool. Very simple. They do plushies as well. I didn't do a ton of research beforehand, so there are probably better ones, worse ones. I'll definitely do more research, I think, for next time.
Mhm.
But Fourth Wall offered it, so I was like, cool. Like, make a prototype, like come up with a. It's like designing a character. You design the turnarounds for the plush, send it to them, like a little back and forth, and you just gotta, sell enough of them for them to make them. That's the tricky part.
I love that. Did your experience working in the industry help with this, or was this a whole other beast for you?
I think for things like that, a whole other beast. Like there are certain things like making a turnaround design for a Molly plush. Like yeah, that's no problem.
Mhm.
I think just reaching out, the interconnectivity, and then yeah, working with producers like manufacturers and stuff was yeah a lot of new. There was some new stuff in there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I imagine it must have been like such a daunting thing, but it also must have been such a cool feeling when the Kickstarter was complete.
Yes. Oh no, it totally was like because like I said, I've had a few flops in the past, but
Yeah.
actually, so to see it like, and it was a little bit, close. It was a close call, but no, to cross that finish line, it was very like rewarding, very cool feeling.
Yeah. Do you have any Kickstarter plans for the future, or when it comes to the whole series, or is there
Ooh.
potentially like a studio you're looking forward to, for Dungeon Flippers as like a potential investor, or like someone to pick it up?
Right. I'm not too sure. The state of streaming networks and
Mhm.
things these days is a little shaky. So I'm kind of gonna have to feel it out when we get there. Like obviously, I'd love for episode 2 to be a huge success, lots
Yeah.
of attention and stuff, and fuel more episodes. Um, the Kickstarter was good this time, but I feel like long term is not probably not too sustainable. I may do shorts, like more short form content later on, because episode 2 is shaping up to be 20 to 25 minutes long. It's a
Wow.
lot. I was like, at hindsight, I'm like, I could have just done like 2 minute shorts, so we had a little more stuff coming out. But these are the things you learn. Um, but so it will depend on how episode 2 does. But
Mhm.
either way, I'd love to keep going in some form, whether it's shorts, getting picked up by a big network, or making comics, or even like I've been contemplating like visual novels, or even looking into game development.
Mhm.
But
Ooh. If you're
yeah.
going for a game, what kind of game genre are you looking forward to?
Oh, it's tough because I feel like there's a lot of different ways you could go. I think if I were to start out as just like a baby's first learning how to program, I might do a Phoenix Wright style visual novel.
That
But
would be cool.
as far as because like I've got the character assets, I could do dialogue, a lot of writing, and make backgrounds for it. But obviously, it'd be really cool to have like a Animal Crossing style, like home, like dungeon makeover type, more creative, open thing. But that's I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, no, video games are so advanced and crazy to me. Just
Yeah, like this is me looking at a mountain over there, be like, that'd be cool to get up there.
yeah,
But
I
we'll
got
see.
to yeah, I got to peek on some people making a video game one time of just it was like a first person shooter, and even that's so complex. I'm like, okay, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna stick to my little cartoons. Just I'm
yeah.
gonna go to my baby corner. Just yeah. Uh, can you so can you say what you want the future of Dungeon Flippers to be, but also what do you want people to take away from when they watch Dungeon Flippers?
Ooh, I think part of what I really like about when I talk to when I kind of soft pitch dungeon flippers, because usually when I first meet a stranger and we get to talking, it's like, what do you do? Oh, well, I make this thing. One of the things I really like with it is like it springboards other people, like it springboards the audience's imagination in a way that I feel like a lot of other stories and concepts don't. Usually when I start talking about dungeon flippers, like they're reminding me like, oh, whoa, well, they could do this, they could do that. Like it gets as a viewer, you start to think of all the different possibilities, and it kind of almost like jumpstarts creativity and the desire to see these things. And I love seeing like I literally see the spark start to spark in people's eyes sometimes if I'm lucky, talking to people about dungeon flippers, and I'm just like, yes, you're like you're going on a little magical adventure in your mind, imagining these kinds of possibilities. And so that's what I want people to get out of it, is the ability to kind of play in the space, even if I'm not doing anything. And as far as where I'd like it to go, I mean, it would be great to like get several seasons of a show. That'd be fantastic.
Of course.
How that's going to be done, I'm not too sure. But I don't think that's going to slow me down too much from just continuing to do what I can and make stuff.
That's wonderful. I love to see the progress of Dungeon Flippers and just where it's going at in the future, but also its success of what we've had already, of just like a very successful pilot. All things considered.
Yeah, it's done better than I thought.
Yeah, which is always very cool to see. Making something yourself is great, but it's always nice if like, yes, now I have validation.
Recognition, yes, yeah, nice.
I love that. So we're about to wrap this up. I would like to give my links. My great works, I work on Howley Hoods and Tangle and some other indie animation stuff. Travis, let the people know where they can find you and what they can look forward to.
Yes, you can find me on YouTube. If you look up Dungeon Flippers, I'm pretty sure I'm the first thing that shows up. I'm on most social medias. If not under Dungeon Flippers, then like Travis Fowler Art, I believe, on Twitter. You look up Dungeon Flippers. You'll probably find me, hopefully.
Excellent. This has been a great stream. Thank you for everyone for joining. I'll see you next time.